The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Hey, it's Storyworthy. Today on the show, comedian Helen Hong talks about her dad getting drunk and insisting on buying her ice cream.
I go to my dad and I'm like, Dad, I want ice cream. And my dad is drunk at this point. And my dad is a very happy drunk, thankfully. So he's like, you want ice cream? All right. We walk down the 2 blocks to the Baskin-Robbins, but Baskin-Robbins closes at 10. On the other side of the glass door, he starts making a big scene to this Baskin-Robbins, but he's like, I promised my daughter ice cream. Do you see this little girl right here? I promised her ice cream, and I'm not leaving until I get her ice cream.
Today on the show, comedian Helen Hong talks about her drunk dad. Stay close.
Hey, it's Helen Hong, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. If you're a longtime fan of the show or a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys had a chance to listen to last week's story with writer and filmmaker Tim Kirk. Tim Kirk is such an interesting guy, and he's so talented. Oh my, he's done so many things, and his most recent book is called Christ Never Showed Up, The Disappointing Near Death of Joe McPuppet and His Furious Life Afterward. That's right, Tim Kirk has written a book about puppets. And it's very, very entertaining, so go back, you guys. Listen to Tim Kirk. And actually, his story is also very good. He talks about how he faked a wedding proposal for this show on Lifetime called Marry Me Proposal. You know, and they were like airing real proposals. So he faked it using puppets. And they chose him to go to Las Vegas. Helen, you have to hear this story. So the production chose him. And I said, Tim, why did you do this at all? Like, this is so extravagant to go to all these lengths to be on a Lifetime show in Vegas. And he said, well, I have a friend in Vegas. That was the whole reason why he did it. The guy is so funny. Oh my gosh. So go back, you guys. Listen to Tim Kirk today. Stick around today because today I'm here with comedian Helen Hong. And Helen has been on the show before, but it's been a little while. And it was in person last time.
That's right. That's right. I was at your house.
You were. You were right here in my apartment. And since then, well, there's been a pandemic. You became a parent.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
There's
I bought
so
a
much.
House. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
much happened to me during the pandemic.
I'm so excited for you.
It's like it's too much happened to me, honest. If I'm being really honest, I wish less had happened to me during the pandemic.
Well, one thing that came out of the pandemic for you is your new comedy special, and it's called Well Hung. Now, who came up with the title Well Hung? Because that's the funniest flippin' thing I ever heard.
Well, my last name is Hong, H-O-N-G,
Right.
and I used to sell merchandise when I would go on the road touring stand-up shows. I would bring merchandise, which was T-shirts that said "Well Hong" on them, and unbelievably, people bought them.
Of course, they bought them. It's hilarious.
And I stopped selling them because selling T-shirts is actually kind of a pain in the butt when you're,
Of course.
As far as merchandise, it's like a whole extra suitcase, and you got to think about sizes and women's and men's and all this stuff. It's a pain.
And then people are like, do you have tank tops?
Yeah.
Do you have a crew neck? No, I need a V-neck in triple X large.
Yeah, do you have this in triple X large? And I'm like, I only have double X large. Yeah, it becomes a whole thing. So I stopped selling T-shirts, but I sold these T-shirts for the longest time, and I had one T-shirt left, and I gave it to my dad. And what my dad does with the T-shirt is the premise of a joke that I've been telling for years and years and years. It's often my closer. It's like people's favorite joke of jokes that I do.
Oh, and please share it.
And it's a completely true story. And I'm not going to share it because I want you to watch it on the special.
Oh, it's on the special.
It's on the special. The joke is on the special. I might even close with it. I can't remember.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's a super popular joke, and it's completely based on a true story of how my dad reacted to getting this Helen Hong T-shirt.
Well, Helen, the special has gone to the Tribeca Festival in New York, which is a really big festival, and it was one of the first events, to open up after the lockdown.
Right. That's
so
right.
that was a big deal.
Oh my gosh. And that was one of the things that actually it was a scary thing to have to tape a special. I literally hadn't been on stage in a year when I taped that special, and the audience hadn't been in a venue. I mean, the Tribeca Festival last year was touted as one of the first events to reopen New York City.
Wow.
After lockdown. And so it was kind of a weird experience for everyone. For the audience, they were masked, they were freaked out. We were all a little bit freaked out because it was the first time we were like in an enclosed space with people again.
Did you do comedy over Zoom?
I did. Yeah, I did comedy over Zoom, and I did a handful of outdoor shows here in LA, but even those, I wasn't keen on doing them because I had a baby at the time.
Wow.
A brand new baby.
When was the baby born? I need to know this.
The baby was born in May of 2021.
Wow.
So it wasn't during peak lockdown, but it was still when the pandemic was in full swing. It was like before the Delta variant. Yeah, the baby was born in May of 2021.
You wanted to have the baby, right?
No.
This was out of the blue?
No, it's not my baby. It's my sister's baby.
Oh my God. Wait a second.
This also, I talk about this in the special. So my sister and I bought a house together in peak lockdown because we were both quarantining alone in our apartments. And this was in peak this was in quarantine when we were washing our groceries.
That's
Remember
right.
when we were wiping down our groceries?
Of course.
And we were wearing gloves to go outside. It was like that scary time when nobody knew anything. They didn't know how COVID spread, and we were literally freaked out to get groceries.
Trump was telling us to drink bleach.
Exactly. We were being told to drink bleach. There was a toilet paper shortage. This was when my sister and I decided to buy a house.
Incredible.
So we bought a house together, and then shortly after moving in together, my sister's like, "I'm pregnant."
Oh my gosh.
So my sister is a single mother by choice, meaning she was like, I'm going to have a baby on my own.
I'm having a baby, sure.
I'm having a baby by myself. I'm going to buy sperm online. And she got pregnant very quickly.
Oh.
And the idea was she bought this house with me to be an investment property. I was going to live in it, rent out the other room, and she was going to go on her merry way and live in San Francisco where she had been. But then she got pregnant, and she was like, "I'm sure I could do this by myself." She was asleep her entire first trimester, and I was like, "Okay, you're going to die if I don't take care of you. You're literally going to die." So I ended up taking care of my sister. She was
incredible.
So, basically I don't even think we decided. I think it just sort of fell together that she stayed here in this house with me for her entire pregnancy, and then she gave birth in this house.
Oh my gosh.
In this very house, on the other side of this wall, she gave birth because she didn't make it to the birth center because it happened so fast. And
this is her first birth.
Her first birth.
That is so interesting.
Yeah,
it's usually never that fast.
It's this baby shot out. She could not get to the birth center. She was like, this baby is coming.
Wow.
And so, so basically, I don't even think there was ever a decision factor. I think she did ask me all right, how do you feel about me staying and you and me raising this baby here in this house? And I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Sure. I mean, obviously, my sister and I are very close. We're very, very close.
So, are you Aunt Helen, or are you?
I'm Mimo. I'm Momot.
Momot. That's so cute.
Which is Mimo in Korean. So.
Oh, how cute, Momot.
Mom aunt, or hashtag Matt or Mont.
Oh my gosh! And what's the baby's name?
I'm not going to say.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
I've never showed my child on social media, although now I will sneak in a baby picture. But they're 15,
exactly.
So do you know what I mean? Like it's not them now.
I'm a little lackadaisical. Like I will post his photo with like he'll have sunglasses on. Or if he's got a binky in his mouth and you can't really see his mouth, I'll post a photo like that. Like all the photos that I try anyway to post their picture with like some part of their face covered.
That's really cute. That's funny. Yeah.
And it's kind of less important. I mean, they change so fast.
So listen, wait. There's so many questions, and we have an entire story to get to, and because you brought forth the topic, my drunk dad. So I can't wait to hear this story. But regarding you becoming, a mom with your sister. Were you home during the birth?
I was there. I was in the room.
So what did she say? Helen, I think we got something coming out here.
Yeah. So she woke me up at 8 a.m. She came into my room. And as soon as, I don't wake up that early. So if she's opening my door at 8 a.m., something's going on. So I heard her open the door and I just popped up my head and I said, "Is it time?" And she goes, "I think it's time."
Oh my gosh.
So she's having contractions. She had been having contractions all morning, but she knew not to wake me up because it wasn't anywhere close. But then as soon as she said, "I'm having contractions," and then she sat on the toilet for a few minutes, like 45 minutes, just like feeling these contractions. And I said, "Do you think you can make it over the birth center?" She's like, "I feel pretty bad." So we called. So the birth center is very close to our house. And originally the plan was we were going to walk there. Like that's how close it is. Which,
oh, wow.
In hindsight is stupid.
But the idea being that sometimes you get to the hospital and you do have to walk around for 5 hours.
Yeah, they make you walk. And so the idea was, because the birth center is so close to our house, I mean, it really is walking distance, that as soon as she started contractions, we would walk over there and we would have the baby at the birth center. But by this point, 8 a.m., she had been having contractions for a couple of hours. And then by this point, she's like, "I don't know. It feels really strong and I don't feel like I can walk anywhere." So we call the midwives over to our house, and the midwives get under the hood and look.
Wait, where did she go? Did she go to the couch or her bed, or where did she go?
She was like kind of shuttling between the toilet bowl and her bed. The toilet bowl and her bed, because she was like, "I need to sit down, but I don't want to sit. I don't want to like squash the baby, so I'm going to sit on the toilet." And then she would kind of walk to the shuffle over the bed, and then she'd like moan for a little bit, and then shuffle back to the toilet. Anyway, we call the midwives over. They take one look at her vagina and go, "Yeah, you're not going anywhere. Like you're already at whatever centimeters.
Yeah.
Like you're already pretty dilated."
Yeah.
So, they're like, "You're having the baby here." So then they call the whole army of midwives. So now there's 3 midwives and a doula.
Oh, wow. Good,
good. And I'm like, I got pushed out of the room at one point because, our house isn't huge. Like, her room's not a palace.
Yeah.
And so having 5 people in there was pretty cramped. And so I'm like, okay, there's 3 midwives and a doula. Like, I'm the least qualified. Like, I'm going to dip. So me, my mom, and my dad, who had come to town for the birth, were sitting in the living room just kind of like hemming and hawing and looking at each other while all these army of women are in the bedroom, and we're just hearing we're just hearing noises. And so at one point, the midwives had only been there for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, not a long time. At one point, I hear moaning, and I stick my head in thinking, "Oh, I'll just ask if they need anything." And I open the door, I stick my head in, and I'm about to say, "Do you guys need anything?" And, there's a baby coming out.
Oh
my gosh.
And so I made it into the room just by accident.
Wow.
I was in the living room just like waiting patiently and like heard some moaning and was like, all right, maybe I'll just ask if they need water or need anything. And I just happened to be at that moment where the baby like popped out.
How exciting.
It was crazy.
How wonderful.
It was crazy. And so I saw the actual birth, the baby come out, and the baby's all slimy and screaming. But my sister was a champ. I mean, she didn't even really scream. You know, you see in movies and stuff, and people are, these women are just hollering their heads off and screaming bloody murder. My sister has a very high threshold of patience and tolerance. Yeah, and pain
because
and tolerance.
they are your pelvis is splitting, so you know that's happening.
She didn't even, and that's why I literally thought I was just popping in to see if they needed anything.
Sure.
Like I didn't think it was happening because it wasn't like it wasn't like screaming bloody murder. It was just like
she's amazing. I love her. That's amazing.
And so she pushed this baby out. It was crazy. And then I jokingly was like, well, there goes our floors.
This is such a good story. That makes me so happy.
Crazy.
So then the baby's there, and you don't ever go to the hospital, or do you?
We do. We ended up having to go because her placenta wouldn't come out.
Yeah.
Her placenta was stuck.
Yeah.
And the midwives couldn't get it to come out. So eventually we had to call 911. Yeah.
Wow.
The midwives were like, it's been a few hours and it's not coming out and nothing's happening. So
scary.
We have to call 911. So we called 911, an ambulance came.
Wow.
She got shut. I drove behind the ambulance to the hospital. My parents thankfully were here. So the baby spent the first night without his mommy.
Wow.
Yeah. Because she was in the hospital for a night.
Wow. What a great story, though. This is so exciting. And so now there's a baby in your life.
Now there's a baby in our house. And that was exactly a year ago because Baby Hong we just celebrated their first birthday.
Oh, I'm so happy for you guys. What a thrill. Your parents must be over the moon.
They're so excited. I mean, they were not excited first because they're Korean. So they were like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
What do you mean single mother by choice? Like, what cockamamie thing are you talking about?
Do they live in LA now?
They don't. They live in Boston still.
I see. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
By the way, I joke about a lot of this in the special. And
I can't wait.
If you watch the special, you'll see exactly how they reacted to the news of a sperm donor baby.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Hong, that is the funniest damn title. I love it so much. It's so great. And in order for everybody to find it, I mean, of course, HelenHong.com, but we can also just go straight to Amazon Prime, right?
That's right. Amazon Prime. Yeah.
And I know that Brian Volkweiss was the director of that.
Yes.
And he's done a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Comics
He's
now.
like, I was really honored.
He's the man.
Yeah. He's the stand-up special guy.
Yeah. He's come on Storyworthy. We really hit it off. So when I'm ready, man, that's who I'm going to.
He's great.
I'm telling you. Yeah. And so accomplished.
Yeah.
Brian Volkweiss never stops creating. Every time you look on Facebook, he has a new product, a new thing.
And he's turned his passion into a business. Like, he's obsessed with toys and figurines and model things. And, you know, his house is just a mausoleum of trinkets and doodads and toys. And he's he did the toys that made us special on Netflix.
Right. And the movies that made us. That's a very funny show.
That, that's just a fantastic example of someone having a passion. Like, that was his passion, and he turned it into a business.
Yeah,
he was like,
amazing.
I'm obsessed with childhood toys.
So he would go city to city and find the toy stores in each city. You know, there always seems to be one toy store.
Yep.
And then he would essentially send out his equipment, you know, cameras and SD cards and lights and whatever they would need. They'd shoot themselves, send all the equipment back, and Brian made a show.
Yeah.
It's so smart.
I mean, it was crazy. It was so smart. So smart. And I just love hearing about people who just pursue their passion as, like, if a grown man told you, like, yeah, I'm obsessed with children's toys and figurines and action figures, you'd be like, okay. Like, the 40-year-old virgin, that was the joke about that character, is he has all these figurines and action figures, and it was like a diss on him, like, okay, this loser.
I know, but Brian has a family and wife and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he turned this thing that he loves into a very successful career.
It's so impressive. It's so impressive. Now, the new line of figures, have you seen this? It was just on today. It's a new line of comedians. I'm not kidding.
No.
The first two are Joan Rivers and Bill Hicks. I'm not kidding.
Whoa.
And they're like behind the plastic, like a, Superman doll or whatever.
Whoa, that's so cool.
You're going to be a figure. You'll see.
Oh, my gosh. I want the Joan Rivers figure. That's crazy.
She's on an evening gown. It looks really cute.
Oh, my God.
I know.
She is I want to be her so bad.
Yeah.
I saw that documentary, a piece of work.
So good.
And I was blown away by her. I wasn't a stand-up fan growing up, and she was before my time, so I actually didn't know anything about her, really. Other than, the E! Show that, where she's like slagging off on people's
outfits. That was so late in her career.
Yeah, but that's all I knew. Like, that's how I was introduced to her. And so I didn't know what a legend she was until I watched that documentary. And then I was like, what a beast.
And tell me what most impressed you about her, because I also have some thoughts on that.
I was obsessed with the fact that she has written down every single joke she has ever written on an index card. Yep. And she has this massive index card library of every joke she has ever written. And I just thought, if I had that much discipline,
that is amazing.
I would be so much more successful, because this woman has written down every joke she's ever written, every bit, and catalogs it alphabetically.
Yep.
I mean,
just like a card catalog, like an old school library catalog. Library card catalog. You know what else she did? How about when she stood over her assistant and would look at the calendar and say, okay, that date's open.
Yep.
I need to fill that. I need to fill that. This is not 100%. Good. I need this.
Cannot not be working. The woman could not be working. And if she saw any open dates in her calendar, she freaked out. But also what I loved that I learned in that documentary is that she felt responsible for all the people that worked for her. Yeah. She was like, I am an industry. Mm-hmm. I am an industry.
It's true.
I personally I think she employed like 20 people full time at the time.
Yep.
And she's like, I have to work.
Yep.
Because I am the livelihood for these 20 people.
Yep.
And I loved that about her.
Me too. I had her head writer, Tony Tripoli, who was also here on Storyworthy a couple of times. And he spoke mostly of her generosity.
Yeah.
He would talk about how, they would be walking down the street in New York and someone would say, Joan, your necklace is beautiful. And she would take it off and give it to the person.
Oh, my gosh.
Isn't that neat?
I love that. Well, I aspire to be an industry like she is. Like, I want to employ an army of people and treat them really well.
Me too.
And buy them cars and send their kids to college. Like, I want to be that person.
I want to be too.
Yeah.
I do love hearing, like, Chelsea Handler always buys her housekeeper a new car, and the gardener, she just buys the people around her because she wants it. She wants them to love her. It's obvious. It makes so much sense, They're taking care of her.
Yeah. I mean, we have a cleaning lady now that we can only afford to clean our house once a week. And we treat her so well. And she's like, she even said to me today, she's here now. And she said to me today, she's like, Helen, I want to work for you 5 days a week.
Wow.
And I was like, Claudia, I'm working on it.
Yeah. No kidding.
I'm working on it. Believe me, I'm working on it.
Just because what happens is when they only come once a week, the house gets really messed up.
When you have a baby, you have no idea.
Right. And so then when they only do it once a week, it's just a much harder job.
I mean...
Now think of Alice on the Brady Bunch. She had to be there.
Living. She lived it.
She had to wear a uniform. I would make my maid wear a uniform.
You would?
I'm just kidding. But if you want a good, clean house, that's what you need. You need an Alice Nelson.
I mean, 100%, especially when there's a baby. Like that's one of the things that I had no idea about raising children. First of all, I never wanted children myself. So when my sister had this baby and I like suddenly found myself a parent out of the blue.
In love.
I knew nothing, of course, in love, but I had done no research because I had never wanted to be a mother. And so I was like, I'm not going to look, I don't need to look into it. Like, I didn't know anything about parenting at all. I didn't know anything about babies. The thing they never tell you is how many dishes need to be done and how much laundry needs to be done.
Correct.
Because a baby can't re-wear things. Like, there's spit up, there's vomit, there's poop, there's
4
pee.
outfits a day at least.
4
in the
outfits
beginning.
a day.
Yeah,
100%.
At
Like
least.
drinking milk is like half the milk's down their front. Now they're soaking wet.
When they
Their
turn
clothes are a
about
mess.
when they're about 5 or 6 months and they start teething, you need to have in circulation like 15 to 20 bibs.
Yes.
Because they're just drooling full time.
100%. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that we would be like, I've never done so much laundry in my entire life.
Helen, you are so funny. Listen, we got to get to your story, but real quick, did you read How to Expect When You're Expecting? Or What to Expect
No,
When
of
You're
course not. No,
Okay,
because I was like, I didn't know anything. I was like, you know what, sister? Just give me the goddamn TV guide version.
This is an amazing, you guys are amazing parents. This is going to be a wonderful, wonderful person in your life. I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
for you,
Thank
really.
you.
It's so exciting. All right, you guys,
Yeah.
we're going to get to Helen's story in just a second. But before we do, I wanted to remind you that we are playing Story Smash, the storytelling game show, every month at the Hollywood Improv. Next show, June 25th. And you guys can check out storysmashshow.com for more information. Holy cow, do we have a good time. And Helen Hong, you need to be on the show as a judge because you are such a great game show person anyway. Because, of course, you are on the NPR hit Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Yep.
And so I know you'd be great on Story Smash. So we'll have to figure that out.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, she's here right now. Helen Hong, you hear her talking. She is a comedian and an actress and a podcaster and a television host known for Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. I guess you're known for that. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say you're known for that.
A lot of people know me from Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Some people know me from Silicon Valley on HBO.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people know me. I have another podcast that's also trivia called Go Fact Yourself.
Oh, that's right. I know that. Go Fact Yourself. And you were a reoccurring character on HBO's Silicon Valley, and you've been on The Unicorn on CBS and Netflix's Huge in France, and you performed stand-up on the Arsenio Hall Show and Last Call with Carson Daly, also Comics Unleashed, and you've been in the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal, which is where you had your little tete-a-tete, as I recall, on the last show. The last time you were on Storyworthy, you talked about your experience in Montreal and dating from, what were you dating from? Like, what was the site? Like a Tinder or something?
I was trying to hook up with a woman. I was trying to have my first lesbian experience in Montreal. This was not during the comedy festival because that was too insane. But this was a different time that I was performing in Montreal. I was there for a full weekend, so like a Thursday through a Sunday or something. And I was desperately trying to have my first lesbian experience over Tinder.
and you were fantasizing about this French woman.
Oh, French women are so... I mean, they're not exactly French in Montreal. They're Montreal... I don't even know how you call it. Montreal, whatever you call the people from Montreal. Anyway, the women in Montreal are very French-like in that they're so chic.
Yeah.
They're just so elegant.
Sophisticated.
And chic and sophisticated and just, and I was determined. And it's such a cosmopolitan, European-ish city that I was like, surely my first lesbian experience can happen here.
I thought it was a good idea. I really do. I think that's a great idea.
I tried really hard. I was really trying to reel one in.
You guys can go back into the Storyworthy catalog. You'll find her episode. I always tell people just all you have to do is Google Storyworthy and Helen Hong, and it'll come up. Also, you've appeared on Inside Llewellyn Davis, Pretty Little Liars, Jane the Virgin, and Parks and Rec. You've had such a great career so far. You've got so much more coming ahead. I know it. And your new comedy special, Well Hong, is available right now on Amazon Prime. You guys can find Helen over at helenhong.com and also on Twitter at Funny Helen Hong. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for the very talented Helen Hong.
So this is a story. This is actually one of my fondest memories from childhood. I was about 8 years old when this story takes place, and I was living with my parents in Brooklyn, New York, which is where I spent a lot of my childhood. Flatbush, Brooklyn, which was a very predominantly black neighborhood at the time. I think less so now because almost all of Brooklyn is severely gentrified, but at the time it was a very black neighborhood. And I loved living in Brooklyn. I had no idea how lucky I had it in Brooklyn. I really felt at that time like racism didn't exist. I was a little Asian girl who was going to a predominantly black school, a Catholic school in Flatbush, and it was like 50% black and maybe actually, I think it was more like 60 to 70% black and then 30% everything else. And it was a mix of everything, white, Asian, Latino, but mostly black. And like the first boy that ever asked me out was black, Jamar McDowell. Wherever you are, shout out to Jamar McDowell. And like my little best friend was black. She was Jamaican. Her family background was Jamaican. And I just, like, all my friends were black, and my little to-be boyfriend was black, and I just didn't feel any racism. Like, it wasn't a big deal. Like, nobody, like, our race was just not a big deal. It wasn't something I thought about. And it was only in retrospect that I'm like, oh, gosh, that was really idyllic. But I guess that's childhood, right? Like, kids just don't know any better, and so there's no strife. Anyway, this has nothing to do with the story. I'm just setting up that I was in Flatbush, Brooklyn. So my parents were running a small business, and we lived in a small apartment, 2-bedroom apartment for the 4 of us. 5 of us, actually, because my grandmother was also living with us at the time. So 2 bedrooms, 5 people. And one night, my parents had friends over, and my parents got a little tipsy. They had friends over, and there was like a lot of boisterous, and it was just a dinner party. It wasn't a huge party. It was like 2 couples or maybe even 3 couples sitting around the kitchen table, just drinking and having dinner and talking and laughing. And my dad's just getting tipsier and tipsier and tipsier. And like, I don't know what was being drank, but I just know like you can tell when the volume keeps going up and the laughing just gets louder and louder and louder. I'm like, oh, something's going down with mom and dad. Anyway, all the guests finally left after dinner. And it was probably around 10-ish, almost 10-ish. And I go to my dad and I'm like, Dad, I want ice cream. And my dad is drunk at this point. And my dad is a very happy drunk, thankfully. So he's like, you want ice cream? All right. This is like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm at 8. Like, this is a weird thing about immigrant families is like, I don't know many immigrant families where there's a bedtime. Like, I don't think we ever had bedtimes. I don't think that's an immigrant thing to do. I think it's mostly an American thing. I have no idea. I never had a bedtime.
Even for school?
No. I mean, obviously, at a certain point, you got to go to bed because, like, your parents are turning all the lights off. But it was like when they went to bed. Like, I didn't have an earlier bedtime. Now, as an adult, I completely regret it because I feel like I needed way more sleep.
Yeah. Well, it's
like,
true. Especially,
I needed way more sleep.
And teenagers need a lot of sleep.
Oh, my God. I so did not get enough sleep as a teenager. I didn't get enough sleep as a young child, obviously.
You get to do it over again with your baby, and you'll make it
gosh.
right.
He is, like, asleep at 6.
Oh,
like, we make him go to sleep.
That's the best.
But anyway, I didn't have a bedtime, and so it's, like, nearing 10 o'clock, and I'm like, Dad, I want ice cream. And he's like, you want ice cream? My daughter wants ice cream. We're gonna get her some ice cream. So there was a Baskin Robbins, like, 2 blocks away. This was in Flatbush, Brooklyn, so obviously, like, there's businesses everywhere. And we're not, like, in the rural area. We're, like, in the thick
You're
of
in
it,
the city,
right?
yeah.
We're in the city. So there's a Baskin Robbins I know that's like 2 or 3 blocks away. My dad's like, let's go. And he's drunk. And I'm like, and he's in a jolly old mood. So I'm feeling pretty good, like with my dad, and he's feeling really good. So I'm 8. I put on my shoes. We walk down the 2 blocks to the Baskin Robbins. I didn't know at the time, but Baskin Robbins closes at 10. And it's, what time is it? It's 10. So we literally, as we walk up, we literally see the employee lock the door from the inside. And so my dad rushes up and he tries to open the door. And the employee from the inside waves his hand. He goes, sorry, closed. And I'm like, no, I want an ice cream. And my dad, being drunk, starts making a scene.
Oh, no.
He's like out of this glass door. On the other side of the glass door, he starts making a big scene to this Baskin Robbins. But he's like, I promised my daughter ice cream. Do you see this little girl right here? I promised her ice cream, and I'm not leaving until I get her ice cream. He's like, I'm not leaving. He's like slumping his body on the door. I'm like, my eyes are like saucers because I've never seen my dad behave this way. My dad's like on Flatbush Avenue causing a scene. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving until I get my daughter. I made a promise, and I'm not leaving. Finally, there's 2 employees in the store. They like look at each other and like, fine. So they unlock the door.
Oh, my gosh.
They let me and my dad in. And I get my little, like, cone of strawberry or whatever, strawberry ice cream on a cone, and I'm looking at, and I am just in heaven. Like, I think my dad is a hero. My dad is like all of the X-Men combined. My dad is Spider-Man, Superman.
That's amazing.
Thor.
Yeah.
Iron Man. Like, he's everything. Like, I'm like, oh my God, my dad's magic. Now, I don't know if I registered at the time that he was drunk or if I just thought like he was just acting really like bubbly and vivacious. I don't know what I was thinking. Now I think back and I obviously it's very clear to me that he was drunk and that this is why this happened. But I don't know to my 8-year-old brain like how I was actually taking that in. All I remember is I just thought this was the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. And my dad is a hero. And they opened up the locked Baskin Robbins because my dad caused a scene and was like, I'm getting my daughter ice cream. I just thought it was the most amazing thing.
Did he eat? Did he get something?
I don't even think he did.
Really?
I think he did. Like, I think I was the only one. I think I had a cone of who knows what, strawberry or chocolate or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was looking at, and I don't even think he got any ice cream.
Did you take any home for anybody else?
I have no recollection of that.
Yeah.
Possibly, but I have no recollection
And when
of
you
that.
guys walked in the Baskin Robbins, did they lock it behind you?
Yes! They locked it behind us so nobody else could get in, and then they let us out, and they locked it again behind us after we left.
That is
But I
so
just couldn't
funny.
believe
Yeah.
that they actually reopened the back. Because they could have easily been like, sorry, man.
Well,
That's not
I would have
happening."
thought they would have walked away. Just walk back into the store.
No, my dad's like, I'm not leaving.
I think
I'm
it was
not leaving.
It was you. They saw that little kid, I think.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I probably looked really disappointed.
That is so
I probably
sweet.
looked really sad.
Does he recollect it all?
He does.
And what does he
He does
say?
recollect this. And he's like, I can't believe you remember that. That's crazy. You have a crazy memory.
Yeah.
I can't believe you remember that. But he does remember that. Because I told this story not too long ago between friends.
If he was 8, if you were 8, then he was like 38 or 42.
Something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't that
38.
old. Yeah.
38 probably. Yeah.
Yeah, what a wonderful thing to grow up in the city like that.
I mean, I didn't realize how magical it was and how lucky I was to grow up in the time that I grew up.
Yeah.
Because I walked to school in Flatbush, Brooklyn at the age of 8. Like, I remember walking to school and, like, it wasn't close. It was like, I want to say it was over 10 blocks.
Wow.
Because it wasn't a public school. It was a private school that I was going to. So it wasn't super close. But it was over 10 blocks. And my parents just let me walk it. And nothing bad ever happened to me.
Did
know what I mean? Like,
did your sister go to the same school?
No, my parents moved around a lot when we were kids. And so we left New York by the time my sister went to school.
How far apart are you in age?
We're 5 years apart. Well, no, we're 4 years apart. But we're 5 years in school years because I skipped a grade.
Oh, brother.
Humble brag.
No, but this is exciting. They don't let kids skip like that anymore.
No, they don't. And I'm glad because skipping a grade was kind of disastrous for me.
And what grade was it?
It wasn't good. It was fourth grade.
Yeah.
And it was at this Catholic school the very same Catholic school I'm telling you about. It was fourth grade, and I did really well in school until I skipped a grade, and then I started doing very not well in school because it turns out fourth grade you actually learn stuff that you need.
Yeah. That sucks, man. Yeah,
like, I never learned fractions.
Yeah.
I never learned fractions.
And that's
I never
fourth
learned
grade.
Decimals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. That's too bad. I know that another friend of mine got held back in fifth grade, and it kind of screwed him up for life because his friends went on to middle school, and he got held back with the babies.
Yeah.
And that was and is very, very traumatic.
Yeah, well, I had the opposite problem where I was already a small kid in class, and then I got skipped ahead, and so I was the smallest kid in my grade by a lot.
Aw.
I was really small.
Aw.
Yeah, so it just wasn't good. Yeah. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it.
Did you go on to college then, right after school?
Yes, I did, but I didn't do. My grades were never great after that.
But you got through it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what a lot of college is, you know. Can you jump through these hoops to get to the next stage?
Right.
You know,
Right.
It's like nobody's ever going to ask you for that flippin' certificate. That's for sure.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
I started when I'm the youngest of 6. And when I was 5, my mom just threw me into first grade. So then I graduated at 17, and then I graduated college at 21. So everything was sped up. But, you know, I probably should have started at 6.
Yeah.
You know, because
I mean, the age markers are there for a reason.
I know, and
it's less about the what you can do academically and more about the socialization.
Right, and also how your brain is developing and where it's at. It's a really big deal. And 1 year as a kid is like forever. Forever.
Huge.
Do you remember summer break seemed like, oh, that's another 5 years right there. You know what I mean? Like, it was so amazingly long, you know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other not jokes for your name, but what's another album you're going to use? Because I feel like there should be a lot of different, like, clever, you know, like Jackie Cation just put out Staycation. That's perfect. And the name of Hong, it's so perfect. I'm sure there's plenty of play on play words.
There's stuff that I could do with Helen too. Like, yeah.
Hell on Wheels.
Hell on Wheels. Mad as hell. Mad as hell.
That's very funny. Well, you are so talented, and I'm so happy you came back on the show. This is awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Super fun. Alonzo Bowden and I have become friends as well, and I know he does. Wait, don't tell me with you.
That's right. Yeah. He's a fantastic one. I mean, he's just so quick.
Yeah, he's a great talent.
Sometimes I go on the show and I feel really bad. It makes me feel bad about myself because I'm like, how are these people so much faster than me?
No.
I mean, Alonzo is. Sometimes he'll say things and I'm like, that just, you know, when you hear about artists who say like, I don't even know where that came from. It came through me.
Sure.
Like I'm a conduit and it comes from above. It comes from like a higher source or something.
Like all artists.
Yeah. And I feel like occasionally that will happen to me, but there are times where I'm like on with Alonzo where I'm like, okay, that was definitely came from the universe or from the ether or something because that was just so fast and so funny.
Yeah. And he really kind of like in a way has it all, you know, because he's really tall and he walks in holding his motorcycle helmet because he's been riding his bike, you know, and he's like super cool, not married, not a lot of attachments, nice dog, you know, he just...
He only recently got the dog, too.
Yeah, he's a star.
It's a pandemic dog. It's a pandemic dog.
It's a pandemic dog. Anyway, it's nice that you get to be with those other people and they get to be with you. It's just, you're a wonderful talent. So thank you, Helen Hong. And you guys, make sure you take a look at Well Hong. You can get it right now on Amazon Prime, and you can find Helen over at helenhong.com. All right, you guys, this has been such a blast. One more time on behalf of the very talented Helen Hong, thank you, friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
Hey, Scott. What brings you into the pharmacy?
I'm thinking about getting one of the updated COVID-19 vaccines.
Great. Do you know which type of vaccine you'd like?
There's more than one?
Yep, there are different types of vaccines available. You can learn more about them at WeDoVaccines.com. If you have questions or want to make an appointment, give me a call.
What was that website again?
WeDoVaccines.com.
Thanks. I'll check it out.
This message was brought to you by Novavax.